You are now listening to the ReEducation podcast. Hi guys, welcome back. It's the ReEducation podcast, season 2. Today I've decided to mix it up a little bit. I have a few guests with me, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves. Can start probably from the top. I don't even know who's on the top screen.
I think we're all the top for each other, I think.
Yeah.
That was a flop. Oh, no. Okay, whoever wants to go first, just go first.
I'm Ryan. I'm a management accountant. Been doing it for 8 years now. And yeah, that's me. And I'm your cousin.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Cool. I'm Tafari. I'm a teacher. Been doing that for 5+ years now. I'm based in Birmingham. And yeah, I think that's all I have to say about me for right now. Let me just introduce this actually. I do this thing called Doozy Talks, where we just keep it all the way funky. So we're talking about real life, and it's creating spaces of relatability. And so that's how me and Simone connected.
Thank you.
Cool. My name's James. I'm an ITO manager at Heathrow Airport. So basically, long story short, we just make sure everything runs smoothly through the airport. All the airlines get along with each other and everything's where it needs to be and working how it's meant to work. So yeah, so I've been doing that about 2 years now. I'm a qualified driving instructor as well, but I haven't done that in a while. But yeah, that's me.
Thank you guys for the introduction. I'm not going to introduce myself because if you don't know who I am or what I do right now, I don't know what to say. We're going to be talking about a topic that I think I've spoken to each of you individually about, particularly James and Ryan. You've shared some of your experiences as Black men in the workplace. So I wanted to bring a group of men, Black men, to an episode and just kind of explore that topic. Can each of you tell me what this topic means to you? So Black men's experiences in the workplace. What does that mean?
For me, I feel like it means to have to go above and beyond, and I think that's kind of similar to the Black woman's experience. However, to be a Black man in any workspace is to have to tone who you are down really, and to go not even that extra mile, that extra 10 and more, to really be seen. Yeah, it's almost like that saying, when your parents say children are to be seen and not heard.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's the experience of a Black man in the workplace, to be seen and not heard.
Wow.
Yeah, do you know what? I fully agree with that still. Like my experiences, for me, it's a bit weird to me, like especially when I wasn't used to being a minority in certain places. Like everywhere I've grown up from young to even uni, I was always in the majority. So having to switch it up now and go into the work environment, and it's like, I'm one of maybe 3-4 Black faces in the whole office, especially doing what I do as an accountant as well. It's a bit, I think it was a shock. It was a big shock to me. I'll say that. But yeah, just piggybacking off what you said, you're just having to go that extra mile. You're having to prove that you actually, no matter how qualified you are, you still have to kind of prove that you know what you're talking about and prove yourself to people that they may have similar experience to you, but they ain't got the qualifications that you have, or they haven't got the life skills that you have. But, because we've got a certain stigma to us, they just want to second guess you straight away.
Yeah, I would sort of agree with both the points made. only thing I'm gonna say is I haven't really had anything. I wouldn't say I'd experienced anything bad to an extent, and I've been working in London, out of London, Wales, all over. So I've been around different environments and stuff, but I just feel that the only thing I find maybe challenging or things that are not nice is when you don't have a lot in common with certain people. So, like you were saying, you have to prove yourself maybe, or go the extra mile to show that, yeah, you do know about certain things that they might not expect you to, or be into certain things they might not agree with. And usually it's related around sports, which is kind of a stereotype. They all tend to think you're into football and whatnot. And yeah, most guys are in it. So I get why they do that. But yeah, that's what I'd say really. But I've got controversial views on this whole thing, which I think still might know. So, yeah, we'll get into it still. But yeah, I tend to agree, but I do feel that I haven't really experienced anything that's held me back, let's say. I haven't been held back, I wouldn't say. So it is important though, and again, like as black men, we need to be able to feel that we can do this, and we've got this, and we can be whatever we want to be. So if you do feel you have experienced something bad, it's definitely good to talk about it. It needs to be awareness around that, so people don't have to go through certain stuff.
Thank you.
Interesting to hear that.
I was gonna say there's no problem with you disagreeing with what each other is saying. That's the whole point of having this conversation, bringing people from different working industries and having different perspectives, different experiences, different knowledge, because we've already discussed a few things separately, James, and I even posed some certain things to you, but again, we'll get there eventually. But I'm a black woman. I can't speak on you guys' behalf. Like, I can speak on mine, but I can't speak on yours. And that's why it's nice to get different perspectives and hear stories from different people. Tafari, what was you going to say?
It's mad interesting what James said. And I feel like it's because you're not privy to it. Because I know that everybody has experienced something, you get me? And so you've been all these places that you said you've been around. Me, I've had more jobs than my entire age. I'm 27. I've had more than 27 jobs, and I've been there for quite a few. I've been at those places for some time to get to know people and all those things. So I don't know. It's interesting to say that you haven't experienced nothing like that. So I just wonder if you're privy to those things that are happening.
Yeah, well, it depends. This is the thing. This is where my view kind of differs to a lot of people. Like I said, I don't believe that I've been held back or treated any differently in a workplace. I can't say that wholeheartedly that I have. Of course, I've experienced certain things where, people might ask you certain questions that are a bit wayward, or they make little comments and stuff. But to me, the way my mind is, it's like the way I see things, and because maybe I have been around a bit, I put that down to like lack of education or ignorance. Like literally, some people ask questions or treat you a certain way because they literally have no idea how to act around you, because they've never been privy to it. They've never been around a black person, or like I might be the first black guy they've ever worked with. So they're going to be like, okay, let me say this, let me say that. And in their mind, it's fine. They're not even seeing it as a problem or as something that's a bit taboo. Whereas, so I don't take it personal, if that makes sense. I don't get defensive by it. Again, I haven't experienced anything where someone's come at me. In school, that's a different story. School, yeah, the racism was a thing, but in my working environment, like I said, like at the age of 18, I moved to Wales. That's why I went to uni and stuff. And I was working in Carphone Warehouse full time, literally from the age of 19. So I've been in a totally different, like the valleys of Wales. I'm the only black guy there. Like there is no one. They speak a different language almost basically over there. You know what I'm saying? I've been in environments that are different. You see what I'm saying? And again, no one has literally. I haven't felt that I've been held back or treated differently to anybody else. And like, I'm not naive, because again, I live in South London. I know, I know what people go through. I've seen. Obviously, I've got most 95% of my friends are black males. So again, I know what people do go through. I know about. I'm privy to that. But me myself, I can't personally say that I have, and maybe I just don't take it like that. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. But yeah, everyone does go through something. Yes, I feel like it's a mindset we need to try and not get past. But when are we gonna move on and say, you know what? there's people that's going to be having their view. There's people that act a certain way. It's about how we conduct ourselves and how we then go forward in it and how we take it. Because I think we can be whatever we want to be whenever we want to be it. So.
You know what? I agree with that to an extent. I fully agree with that to an extent, and I'm not even gonna lie. I agree you can be what you want to be, and I also do agree that I do think some people like to use the fact that I'm black, so I'm gonna be held back. I think they like to hang on to that, and they like to use that as an excuse as to why they haven't necessarily succeeded in life. But I'm not gonna take away from the experience that for every every position that I apply for, there's someone that's less qualified than me, or there's gonna be employers that's just gonna look at my name, see my last name, and just be like, oh, do you know what? I can't even pronounce that properly. I ain't even got no time to be seeing this guy, and I'm way more qualified than certain people that's there. So again, I do agree that some people harp on and they don't want to kind of free themselves from that predicament. But I'm not gonna act like it doesn't hold us back as well, and in the same thing. But in saying that, I think two things can be true. I think we can hold ourselves back, but I do think we're prejudiced against, we are discriminated against. Sorry.
And to add to that, like James, you mentioned that when you was in Wales, you was like the only black person there. So if there's no others, like who do you have to compare your experience to? And what I said to you as well, that do you maybe think, especially with the girls, you were kind of fetishized because black man, the stereotypes, like, oh my gosh, when you go black, you go back. Like, that's how they were looking at you, like a piece of candy.
Facts.
And then,
is that a bad thing? I don't know. Is it?
No, you know what? That's a bad thing.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the men, I'm just throwing a spanner in there.
I hear what you're saying. I hear you, but again, like the point I made before, it's down to their experiences, isn't it? So again, if I'm the first, let's say the only black males they see are either footballers or movie stars or whatever. When they see one in the flesh, clearly they're gonna be like, hold on, is it true? Like it's more like it's a natural thing for them to do that. I feel I'm not gonna turn around and turn it into a thing where why? No, they shouldn't be fetishizing me like that. Why do you know?
No, I'm not saying
gonna turn it into that. That's me.
I'm not saying that you should tell them not to, but that's just the way how they objectified us from slavery, after slavery, colonization, oppression, through all of those times up till this day, they do look at us a certain way, especially black women. Like, we become objects of their fantasies, imaginations, because we have a certain physique and our build is set up a certain way. So when they hear the stories and look at pictures of how we were depicted through slavery, they're going to be like, oh, okay, I want to try a bit of that. I've never had a black guy before. And then for the white men, right? For the white men, you're like, now you're their black friend. Like, they have kudos because they know someone that's black.
They're lucky.
No, I've just got to play the both sides of the coin here. I've got to, I've got to facilitate the conversation. So
yeah, I'm gonna go back to some of my thoughts and beliefs in it, because again, whether we like it or not, we are a minority in this country. So it's never going to be a level playing field. This is not possible. It's like, why get caught up on history and let it hold us back? I think it does hold us back to a degree, because it's like we could forever sit here and say, but we got treated a certain way back then, we got this and that. Okay, we're here now. Like, no one alive now was part of slavery. There's not one person that was part of it. Yes, there's people alive with racist views and they don't like us and X, Y, Z. 100%. I ain't gonna let them stop me. Never. It's not happening. And my kids, whoever, I'm not gonna grow them to be like, well, because I'm gonna warn them, but they're never gonna have the thought in their head of, I can't because, or if I go into this environment, it's going to be a negative thing for me. Like, we are the minority in this country. Like, while we're here is another debate, but we're here. we're doing well. Some of us are doing well. I want all of us to do well, and I think it can happen if we have the right mentality and we go forward as a black community. It can happen.
I don't think it's a thing where we go into the space and we say, "Oh, I can't achieve," because whatever we do, we can achieve. However hard we have to work, but the fact that we have to work harder, the fact that we have to tone ourselves down, the fact that we have to change the way that we have to code switch in the way that we speak, and those things. We have to fake laugh at the people them jokes, bro. That is a different type of slavery in itself. And just because we weren't shackled in chains, just because we're not in chains, bro, don't mean that that's not happening now. Listen, the school that I work at, yeah, the majority of the kids are black. The majority of the staff are black. Yeah. Do you think that there's one black person on the senior leadership team? Nope. When I brought that to the attention, yeah, I was automatically told that I'm calling the head teacher a racist. How am I calling the head teacher a racist when I'm bringing out the simple fact that this is what the facts are? You understand? And even in that, like, damn, I have to tone what I'm saying down, and I have to bring it to him in a way that he's not going to get offended. But I've been saying to, white people, Asian people, whoever, people that aren't black, who don't understand, the struggle that we go through. It's not about your feelings. You get me? It's not about your experience. It's about the black experience and the black facts that are happening. So just because we're not in slavery, like we were back in the day, don't mean that we're not in it now.
For real?
That's one example.
I hate it. Like, that being said, okay, so how do you feel? Okay, like, and it's the thing. Again, like I said, we are a minority in this country. Again, this is not a black country. Never will be. But like let's say the Asian culture, do we hear as much from them saying certain things and saying they're held back, or they experience things in the workplace? Like what do you feel about that?
One thing I've seen about Asians, and not even one thing I've noticed about Asians is I don't think anybody gets the prejudice that we do, because realistically, as blacks, we are the bottom of every single racist food chain. We are actually violated by everyone. Whites, Asians, Eastern Europeans, whoever you want to say, we are violated by all of them. Asians get violated themselves. However, they have a level of, and I don't want to say like it's some black divide, but they have a level of unity that we as a culture don't. In the sense that they will come over here and build like a little, do you know what? Let me not even say over here. Let me even just use, like, for example, the Caribbean, innit? Let me use, for example, the Caribbean. I'm half Antiguan. So I know something in Antigua right now that they're doing is the Chinese people are going over there and they're saying to them, I'll tell you what, I'll give you some money on credit, but when we're building this infrastructure, it has to be us. We're the ones that are going to do it. We might give you lot about 20-30%. We're going to build up your economy, but we're in charge of everything that gets done. So what are they doing? Boom, they're building up the buildings and stuff, but they're bringing their people over. They're creating jobs for their people. They're doing stuff like that. We have a crab in the barrel, mentality. Whereas, as long as I've made it out, as long as my youth's good, as long as my mum's good, I'm good. Whereas I notice with them, they want to make sure that they can provide for other generations. I don't know whether it's they're trying to overthrow the authority that's there now. I don't know whether they're just trying to make sure that their families and their peoples are good. I don't know what it is, but they've got a level of unity that I don't feel that we do. That's why they complain. Don't ever get it twisted. They complain, but they economically allowed themselves to get in a position where it doesn't affect them as much as it affects us.
Facts.
Even though you said, James, that you don't feel that you've been held back, I still want to hear if everybody could sum up their experience as black men at work, whether it's being held back, microaggressions, the racist comments, like the underhand comments and attitudes and actions towards you. If you could sum up in 2 words, what would you say that your experience has been like?
For me, I would say one word is draining, and another is ignorance.
It's mad because there's a few words that we could say. There's a few, but I think it's hard to sum it down because so much happens during the time that I'm at work. But I would say definitely overlooked, and definitely, I don't know. I would say I'm seen as a statistic.
I'm trying to think of a word. The only word I can think of is different. That's the only word that comes to mind. Is like our experience is different. It's definitely different. I can put it that way. But again, I can only speak for my personal. I can't speak on anyone's behalf.
No. That's entirely what I wanted. But I just want to highlight that none of those were positive words.
Why? And it's magic because it's not like the experience at work is always bad. You know what I'm saying? Like I go to work, I love what I do, I love the kids I teach, I love the team that I work with. But then in the wider community, those experiences are overlooked and overshadowed by those negative experiences, and that's why when I think about the whole experience of work, it's the words are negative.
So Tafara, when would you say was the first time that you realized that you were being treated differently because of the color of your skin?
Boom. I tell you, I got loads of stories. Let me give you one. So I used to work with this white man, yeah. Same age, same level of education. I had more experience than him, all of that, cool. So then he was planning to leave for whatever reason. And so he took that to the head teacher. So he's like, big man, I'm gonna leave. I'm thinking of leaving, blah blah blah. The man says to him, oh, don't leave. I'll increase your pay and I'll give you this position. This guy wasn't qualified to do that. So I'm like, oh, mad. What you gonna do? He's like, I need to think about it. So I go to the people, who deal with the stuff. So I'm saying like, okay, boom. I want to go and do some training. I want to go back to uni. I know that you're in a position to support me. Could you do that? You don't have to support me, financially in the. You don't have to pay for my uni fees straight up and down, like all of it. I will provide it out of my own pocket. You get me? Just will you be able to support me a little bit financially? Give me the time and all that. No. Oh, mad. So somebody who wants to, add more value to himself and also to the school, I have to jump through all these ropes. I have to go and source funding myself and bring it back to you. I have to write a report as to why this training is going to help the school. I have to come back and write even further, another report explaining how it's going to be beneficial to the school and the grand scheme of things. I have to sign a contract to say if I leave at this time, then I have to pay back this amount of money and blah blah blah. And I was like, yo, this training is to benefit us all, not just me, us all. But this same guy who said he was gonna leave, he's been afforded the opportunity of a pay rise and a position. Oh, mad. So that's when I knew. I said, yeah, my experience here is different. So it doesn't matter that the majority of the kids are black, and it doesn't matter that the majority of the staff are black. You see me as you don't see me as value here, and I know I'm good at what I do. I'm one of the best at what I do, and I say that with my whole chest. You get me? What I do it with excellence, like the majority of black people do. And so when I was bringing it to them, and that was my response. And then just hearing that from, my white colleague, it was mad.
And he told you that just freely, like, yeah, they offered me a pay rise and new position, like it was just
like Like he was privileged. And I was like, yeah, that's your white privilege, big man. And this is you experience it in its fullest capacity. And maybe this is your first time realizing because somebody's bringing it to your attention. I said, whoa, tell me again. What happened? Tell me verbatim. Tell me exactly what this man said.
So that you know.
A position. I said to do. He said, what is it? Be the head of the key stage or the head of that subject.
Ooh.
I was like, do you even have that qualification? He was like, no. I said, oh man. So then he's like, oh, what happened to you when you went to them about the uni thing? I said, yeah, they shut you down, really. Mad. And even till this day, you know, I'm hounding these people about training opportunities. The woman said, no, this isn't for you.
This isn't for you.
5 years experience that I have. Mad. So then now what I'm having to do is source this training that they can provide for me, that they won't provide for me externally, and pay for it out of my own pocket, which I was going to do anyway.
So that guy, do you feel he's got a friendship with the, is it, do you think it was a favoritism in that regards, or literally it was a race thing because you're the black guy? And
yeah, definitely a race thing. And you know why I say that is because me and this man, we started at the same time. Mm-hmm. We have the same encounters with me and the guy was close. I would say go as far as to say that was my brethren, that was my work friend. That's, you know, he come to my class, I go to his class in our freeze. You get me? He gives me rides home, I give him rides home, whatever the case was. And so our views of life were similar in certain aspects. And so when we were bringing stuff to the bus, you know, it was the same way, and our delivery was the same. If not, his delivery was more harsh because I was conscious that my experience here was different. So I was kind of playing it down.
To articulate yourself different.
In certain aspects. But when the poo hit the fan, big man, I was there with it, and I was like, no more toning myself down. But it was definitely not it was definitely not, oh, we've got a better relationship than him. Definitely not.
So how do you deal with that, working there, knowing how much that you're not being given equal opportunities? I really hate that phrase, equality, diversity, inclusivity. I hate those words because they mean nothing. It's a tick box thing. That's just nah. Yeah. But how do you then deal with that and still work in that environment?
Now I know how to move. And now I know how to speak to him. I know what to address, what not to address, and how to address it.
Hold on, is he still at the school?
Who?
Your brethren.
Oh no, I thought you meant the head teacher. No, he's gone. I don't talk to him anymore, but that's a whole different thing.
Okay.
When that Black Lives Matter thing came to fruition, that's a next story.
I've got that question. I have that question.
Oh, big man, when I'm saying I got stories, like, I'm not just putting these at my daddy, you know.
And you know what it is, yeah? I think, I don't know, how did we even end up following each other on Instagram? I feel like we kind of just have similar friends, mutual friends. But I watched one of the videos that you put up about your colleague. Was they turning the light on and off?
Yo.
I was like, what kind of nonsense?
I was ready to lose my job. People don't understand that. And I always say this to the kids. The kids say, teachers can't hit the kids. And I'm like, yo, people are human, you know. And so even though we're in a professional environment, now it's facts, even though we're in a professional environment, we are people. And you don't know the things that people have been dealing with. I took 2 weeks off work because I found out, mad thing, this is about to get really deep. Oh. I had to take 2 weeks off work because I found out that my dad was murdered. You get me? Had to fly to St. Kitts, sort that out, come back to school and act like nothing happened. You get me? And so when I say, people don't know what people are going through, nobody in that school knew what I went through apart from the head teacher, the HR geezer, and my line manager. That, to my knowledge, there could have been like chitter and so. But to my knowledge, those were the 3 people that knew. The kids didn't know. So when I'm saying you don't know what people are going through, you keep poking and poking and poking and poking, and these people are gonna snap. And so when that geezer came into the room, and this geezer, me and him, not brethrens, you know, I'm very much, yeah, I see somebody, I'm at least saying hello and goodbye. The minimum I'm gonna say to you, hello, how you doing? Cool. I'll see you later, see you tomorrow, have a good day. So that was my encounter with that guy. He never wanted to have a conversation with me ever. The geezer would turn his back. The geezer wouldn't even acknowledge that I'd entered the room. And what's mad is he used to work with, he's really close with the woman who's in my department. So he sees me regularly. You get me? And so parents' evening, I'm waiting for the parents to come in. I'm talking to the lady who's his brethren who's in my department. This geezer says, yo, you fit a statistic. I'm scared of you. I said, oh, why? He said, oh, you fit the stereotype. I'm like, mad. But I wasn't really subscribing to what he was saying. You get me? That went over my head. And so when then he turned the light off and on and said the only way he could see me is if I smiled. And I said, whoa, careful. And it's mad, yeah, that he was brazen enough to do that when there was 2 other people in the room. And so when I'm talking about my experience at school, it's not that I can't succeed, because in the position that I'm in, I'm succeeding, and I don't, even though I've loved those people to help me, you know, go to uni and do this training and blah blah blah. I don't need them, but it would be nice to feel supported by the place that has hired me, because they know that, you know, I bring a certain skill set to that environment. But to be there and the geezer turned the light off and on, I wanted to really punch him in his face, honestly.
I mean, and if you did.
And then what were they gonna say? Oh no, that wasn't that. You can't justify that. No, I feel threatened now because he says I'm a statistic, and people who believe that people are statistics feel threatened. So what is he capable of doing if he feels like I'm a statistic?
And if he feels that about you, how does he feel about the young black boys in the classroom?
That his
That's
teachers,
the scariest thing.
yeah, bro. And even the kids are like, oh wow, when we're talking up, they don't believe us. And I say this to parents all the time: don't believe everything the teacher says.
Oh, I don't.
Don't, yo, question it. Don't, if I'm calling home and I'm saying this about you question me and say yo, that doesn't sound like that's their character, or what happened, can you just walk me through it? Ask the questions. Don't be like, oh yeah, the teacher called, I believe them. Because listen, no teacher will tell you this, but 90% of the time the teacher's lying, and that's to cover their own back, because they did something that if the child was to speak on, it would get them into trouble. And so they need to catch the parent or their line manager or the head teacher first before they get caught.
Ryan, what about you? When did you first realize that you're being treated differently because he's a black man?
Do you know what? I got a few myself, but I think the first one was like either my first or my second proper job, like office working and that. And I was in a young team, so it was me. I think I must have been about 21. No, I'm lying. I was about 22, 23. And I must have been working with some whitey, and he must have been about 25 at the time. Like, he was just a couple years older than me, whatever. And there used to be this guy who used to work in planning, because I used to do like warehouse recruitment. So he used to work in planning. I used to work alongside him. And he was an older guy, he was like 34, 35. So anyway, now, one day I'm coming in the office, I'm chatting to the youth, like the white youth that I'm working with, coming in. And then he wants to see my man. He's like, oh, Tony, you all right? Like, how you been? How's your day going? Blah, 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 blah. Blah, blah. Tony's like, yeah, man. You know, I had a good day, blah, 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 blah. So he turned to me now. He's like, what, go on, fam? What you saying, man? Yeah, man, what's your day saying? Like, da, 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 da. So I'm confused, innit? Like, I'm baffled. Like, I'm confused. I'm thinking, huh? He's like, yeah, man, what, go on, man? What you telling me, man? Da, 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 da. I'm like, sorry, I don't understand what you're saying to me. So he's like, what do you mean? What do you mean you don't understand that? Come on, man, you must understand. You're from the road, you understand it. Saying, no, I'm sorry, I don't understand you. Like, I may live in a certain area that's got a particular reputation, but I'm quite well spoken and I'm educated as well. I'm up to degree level. That's why I'm able to be in this job right now that I'm in. So, but what I can do is we can both go to HR right now and we can speak about the level of racism that you're showing to me. Oh, see, you're being so sensitive. It wasn't even meant to be like that. You just need to understand that you need to be able to take a joke every now and again. It's like, all right, cool. And then from that day, I just clocked, you lot see me. The way you lot see me come in, I've got my little big hoodie on. I'm not used to like dressing up in a suit and tie, so I still dress a bit rolled, but I got my hood up because it's cold and stuff like that. I'm walking through the warehouse and that. And the white you dresses the exact same way, by the way. He's got his hood up, tied to the thing, so you can't even see his face. I've just got my hood over my head because we're walking through like a big freezer. But because you see me, a black cube with my hood up, you thought it was acceptable to speak to me in that way because you thought that's a way that I would understand. I did understand it, but you shouldn't have just assumed that I understood it, if that makes sense. And then from then, I was just like, yeah, do you know what? Like I said, I came from a situation where I was always the majority, and I just clocked, yeah, my working experience is going to be different. And especially because we used to work alongside another recruitment agency, and there was another black guy there. And he used to talk to him like that, and he just used to accept it and just used to smile and, you're bare funny, man, da-da-da-da-da. No, I'm not. What you're doing with him ain't going to run with me, big man, and what runs with me ain't going to run with him, innit? Speak to everybody as an individual. Don't lump me as a stereotype.
I like, Ryan's told me some stories, and I'm like, you know that's not right, yeah? You know that's actually racist.
Right. But you know what the thing is, yeah?
Half of that, yeah? You know that's not acceptable in the workplace.
But the thing is, it's like, at the time, I think now, I don't really care. I don't care. Like, I know my worth as an employee, innit? I know my worth. I know what I bring to a company. However, at that time, like I said, it's my first proper job. You get me? You already know, innit, Simone? Like, it's first proper job and everything, innit? So, and I already see when I'm speaking to them, there's a level, like, I can look in their eyes and see there's a level of fear when they're talking to me. Not from anything I'm saying, just the simple fact that I'm not the tallest of guys, but I got size to me. They already have a particular view of me just from that before I even open my mouth. So the fact that, again, I'm walking through a freezer with my hood up, they're telling me take my hood down. Big man, I catch colds quick. I don't know what you want me to do here, innit? Like, I've got my hood up, I'm thinking, and they're just looking at me a certain way, innit? And from there, I just, yeah, it's mad. And if I speak up, there's a 75% chance that I'm ending in a disciplinary or I'm getting something on my record here. Whereas the white youth that's there just shouting in your face, so, don't worry, man, you know what? Just go home early. You can come back tomorrow when you've cooled off and blah, 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 blah. He's more aggressive than me, but me just standing up for myself is more aggressive than him.
Yeah, it's mad.
Mad.
Well,
Those microaggressions. And the fact that that's what I'm talking about. You have to fake laugh with these people in order to not feel threatening. And then when you don't, they're like, "What's the matter with you?
You're too serious.
You get me? You're what's the matter?"
No, sorry. I know it's just one, but this is and just speaking on laughing here with them. A couple days ago, this is how recent it was. A couple days ago, yeah. I'm talking on Thursday, yeah.
Jesus.
So everybody's just talking, and I must have had a T-shirt on in the office, innit? And like, one of my colleagues must have goes, "Well, I didn't notice you got tattoos." I said, "Yeah, I got tattoos. I got 3 tattoos." So they asked me what I've got. Told them what I've got. Of the 3 tattoos, I told them. They asked me which one's my favorite. No, they asked me 3 of them. I told them one. All the white people agreed that my tattoo that says "Blood of a slave, heart of a king" is their favorite. I said, "All right, cool, whatever, innit?" Then boom, one of the women's like, but don't you think that's a waste of money? So I'm thinking, first thing I'm thinking is, what? Because of like the fact that I got writing and I never got a full sleeve. But so I'm on that naive thinking at the time, innit? So I'm like, nah, do you know what? Yeah, I just haven't got around to finishing off my sleeve yet. Like every time I want to, I either get ill or something. Like she's like, nah, but like, did they use darker ink on you?
God, I knew it was going there.
So I'm like, well, I don't understand. Like, why would they use darker ink on me? Like, it doesn't. She's like, no, because you're dark skinned and I can hardly see your tattoo. So you do know I'm not the darkest of like dark skin, innit? And technically, if I'm dark skinned, would they not have to use lighter ink so that it shows up more? Like, I don't understand here, innit? She's like, no, I just never understood the reason why like black people would get tattoos, because you can never see it.
Girl, bad.
I just had to walk off. And she was like, oh, you're being sensitive. Why are you being so sensitive for? Like, it was only a joke. So that, you know what? I'm just gonna put it down to ignorance is bliss, innit, and just leave it at that, because I don't have the time to be saying what I want to say. Because if I was to turn around and ask you something about white people now, all of a sudden I'm racist, innit? You get me? Like, if I was to say to you, raw, like, what was today your wash day? I'm a bad guy. You know, like, so, like, in certain situations like that, you just gotta just.
There you
Sometimes
go.
you gotta bite.
For everybody listening.
Yeah, you just gotta bite your tongue sometimes, and that's the type of thing that annoys me, because they don't have to.
This is an experience. I could put this down as a thing, but when I started in Carphone, again, it sounds like 18, 19. They used to call me 50. They used to say I look like 50 Cent. Yeah. Now, this turned into them literally saying 50. Now, they will call me 50 on the shop floor. So this is in front of customers, everything. Now, again, it's a sales-based job, innit? Them times there was commission. So them shouting 50 across the shop floor, or like 50 come here, it's like, it's not professional end of the day. That's not my name. Like,
Yeah.
like, you know what I'm saying? Comparing me to 50 Cent, who he's got his whole personality, his persona out there. So again, that could affect the way people view me or judge me or whatever kind of thing. And yeah, looking back, like I could have made something of it in terms of I could have gone like, yo, like, I think with a lot of these people, again, it's like to them, like I said, they're ignorant to it. They're ignorant to what they're actually doing. And I feel if they are really actually racist deep down, I feel that if you're giving them the reaction, that's what they even want, to be honest. And then that's where it's like it kind of fuels their desire to do it, if that makes sense. Now the 50 thing, I laughed it off at first, but then again, when it started to get to me and I saw it maybe affecting things, I said, bro, like, my name's James, isn't it? Like, come on, like, my name's James. I don't think I look like 50 Cent. Just have a normal conversation. I didn't while out. I didn't get angry about it. I literally just had a general conversation with certain guys in the store. And again, after a while, it started to phase out a bit. But there was a period when I remember, like, I was thinking, right, like, these men need to stop calling me 50. Like, no one else in my life is 50. Like, why? So it was a bit mad.
So only after you addressed it with them, that's when they slowly started to phase out the 50.
Yeah. And even another one, this is more recent. And again, I didn't go on furlough, so I was working throughout this whole thing or whatever. And the airport was very, very quiet at a time. Literally, like, there were days where I was doing nothing, literally watch Netflix all day. And one of my colleagues now, and I'm above him, like I was supervising internal, so I'm above him, and I asked him to do something. I was like, oh, can you go check something for me, blah, blah, blah. And he said, wait, white lives matter. And I was like, oh, bro. I was like, huh? Like, kind of thing. And I'm just like, bro. He's like, no, but white lives matter. And I was like, what's that got to do with anything I just said? Like, right, like, okay. And he's like, no. And then he goes on to ask me, oh, what do you think about? So this was at the peak of all the Black Lives Matter protests and what. This was literally then. So I was just like, okay. He went on to ask me then, oh, what do you think about all this Black Lives Matter stuff? So I think he didn't know how to approach me to ask me about it. That was his way of kind of breaking the ice, which is totally wrong anyway. It's just nonsense. But that was his way of doing it. So then obviously I went on to give my views about it and try and explain to him literally what was going on. And he literally had no idea, kind of thing. A lot of these people, they're not from our culture. They don't immerse ourselves in what we might immerse ourselves in or look at what we look at. They literally have no idea. What the sun prints is what they go by. You see what I'm saying? Or what I don't know, whatever news channel, ITV News at 10 is what they go by. So they're seeing certain things, but they literally have no understanding behind it. They just take the sensationalization of it, the headline, and then they're like, oh, what's that then? Okay, there's black people annoyed about something. All right, why are they attacking our statues? So and that's what they'll go on. So this guy literally was like, oh, white lives matter to me as a little comment, as a joke, in inverted commas. And then he went on to say, oh, what's all this Black Lives Matter stuff? Like, what's all that about? And he was like, oh, all lives matter, all this stuff. And I was like, hold on, bro. Listen, if the people are saying save the whales, are you going to turn around and say all animals matter? No, you're not. You're going to concentrate and look at the whales that are endangered. So if we're saying, well, Black Lives Matter for whatever reason, there's an issue going on here. I don't want. No one's trying to talk about all lives here. Of course, all lives flipping matter. Everybody knows that. Like a life is a life, but we are highlighted Black lives here. So I had to literally sit down and explain. And this is a grown man. He's like in his 40s. So it's like I didn't get. I was annoyed, but I wasn't annoyed in the second. I thought to myself, you know what? If me sitting down and talking to him, that's one person I'm educating and making. And I'm telling you, this guy is, since then, I know his thinking has changed towards it. And I've heard him having conversations with other white guys in workplace, trying to like project what I kind of said to him and saying, well, like, but no, think about it like this. And that to me is a good thing. So maybe him coming at me a certain way, in a roundabout way, was a good thing because it got him to maybe understand it better. And I'm pretty sure he's not going to go again and he's not going to say it as a joke and whatnot, because he knows the severity of it and he knows the connotations are behind it a bit more. So yeah, those are things that have happened.
That geezer was definitely trying to gaslight you.
He was.
100%.
He was. Yeah, he was.
So yeah, why do we feel like not we? Yeah. Why do you feel like you have to keep giving these white people the benefit of the doubt?
I don't have
you
to.
always say, oh, it could be because they're ignorant. Oh, they only know the TV and blah blah blah. But we watch the TV and we see the things that are depicted of white people. But then yet we choose to get to know that person and say, oh, actually that's not all people, or actually this is actually how you think. You know, whether it be good or bad. So I don't see why we have to keep giving these people a blind. They know exactly what they're doing.
We don't have to. We don't have to. But
it's not our job to educate them.
You know what? I was just about to say that as well. I don't see why we shouldn't have to. Listen, if you want to educate. That's entirely up to you. But me personally, it's and make it worse. Like you said, that's a big man. That's a big man older than you. I shouldn't have to educate a big man on what's right from wrong. I shouldn't have to educate a big man on the fact that, yeah, all lives matter, but at this moment in time, it's not white people. Yeah, cool. White people are getting killed by police as well. Let's not forget that. However, black people are being disproportionately killed by police. They're being disproportionately like violated in other aspects and discriminated against. Like, so I shouldn't have to educate you on that. You should be able, the same way that if I was to say something that offended a white person, they would expect me to go and educate myself to understand as to why that's not the right thing to do. They should be able to do that. They should be able to know that. But they don't want to do that, because the moment they do that, they have to admit that they have a level of privilege that we don't. And no one wants to do that. No one wants to give up a position of power to benefit someone else. They might give up money. That's cool. Like, they might give up money, but they're not going to give up power, because power is more beneficial to them than the money.
Again, I don't have to do anything. It's a personal thing in it.
But let's remember, Moses was at work watching Netflix, so you had time on your hands.
Okay, I had time. Yeah, that's the thing. I had time today. I had time that day. I had time for that kind of thing. And again, but I think again, but maybe with a lot of it, well, a lot of it is down to it is down to education. And when, again, no disrespect to whoever, like there's certain aspects of white culture that I like to read up on things. I like to view things. I like to look at history. Certain stuff I have no interest in whatsoever. So unless a white person comes to me and tells me about it, I'm never going to know about that. You see what I mean? So again, like the point I was trying to make to it is, it's not our job, but maybe if I think this whole climate that we're in now, like we've used the word in this conversation, we've used the word ignorance, haven't we? And whatnot, yeah. Again, we've got a teacher here, like, Tafari, you're a teacher, mate. So it's like, do you feel that if white people were taught certain things, so basic things like why there are black people in this country anyway, if they were taught that from a certain age, I feel we wouldn't be having these issues now further along down the line in workplaces, basic conversations and basic ways to interact with people. I feel that a lot of those things will be eliminated like in a generation, because it will be, they would kind of understand things more. I think we're at the point now where these guys that are in their 40s and whatever, they literally, like I said, have no idea of struggles and of what again our parents, our grandparents went through, and they were probably kids then, and it was just the climate of the times for them, kind of thing. They were going with the flow. So those views that they grew up with, because it was the thing, they don't see it as a problem. They're like, okay, that was the way everyone thought back then, whatever. I ain't hurt no one. I ain't murdered a black person. I'm all right. But subconsciously, they're projecting that old school racism onto the way they act now. So do you not feel education probably is the key to all this? Like, is maybe going to help going forward?
Do you know what? As a teacher, let me just ask you this as well, because obviously we're in Black History Month at this moment in time. So as a teacher, what exactly do you lot do for the kids? Because my Black history in school, I'm talking from 2001 to 2006. For Black History Month, I remember I had 2 lessons in the 5 years I was in secondary school. No, 4 years. Wait, 7 to 11, whatever, innit? 2 lessons. One of them, I swear to God, one of them, my history teacher, Miss Jags, I remember her to this day. We sat down in history, she turned off the lights, she put on the projector, she put some random picture of a black youth in a black and white picture standing at a train station and said, yeah, black people fought in World War II for England. I said, all right. That was the end. That was the end of that chapter of that class. And then in year 8, Miss Jags, that was in year 10. So in year 8, it must have been Miss Booker. She split the class in half. She said it wasn't intentional, but the blacks were on one side, the whites were on the other, and then we watched Roots. And that was our Black history. We watched Roots. Like, so all of my Black history, all of my studying for Black history, everything I associated with Black people up until I done my research a few years ago was I genuinely thought Black people started as slaves. I didn't know anything prior to that. So as a teacher, like, what do you guys do now to kind of educate?
There's 2 questions there for you, Tafari.
Yeah. In a nutshell, yeah, nothing is done. And unless those teachers, feel led to teach those things ain't being taught. And the only thing that, okay, I can only speak for my school, yeah. So I'm a drama teacher, and so the school's heavy on creative art. So when it comes to like bringing light to the school in whatever capacity, or it comes to World Language Day, Black History Month, you know, anything that's going on, they look to our department to put on a big show in order to look like we're inclusive, and you know, them types of things are happening. So nothing really happens in the Black History Month. It's not really taught, you get me? And if it's taught, it's something foolish like, everybody sit down, we're gonna watch Roots, and nothing's explained. Or there's a picture of a black boy on the projector, write a story. Like, what? That's not teaching us anything.
Hold on. So in the first episode of season 2, obviously it's not aired yet, my sister shared that when she was in year 7 for Black History Month, she watched Roots, and then she had to make a slave diary.
Do these people know how deep Roots is? And to show that to youths without any context or any debrief.
Like they wouldn't do a Holocaust diary. They wouldn't do that, would they? Yeah.
I watched Amistad in year 9. Like, we weren't up to the levels of Roots. Like, we watched Amistad, which was equally as bad, but not as deep as Roots was.
The thing is, I don't understand why Black history is meant to celebrate or educate us on the history of Black people.
But is it though? It's
supposed to, not only just that we were slaves, but the history of it. And like, when we're talking about Black history, we're not talking about, you know, just the people that came from the Americans, because the history is deeper than that. What about the British? What about the Black British? You get me? It's not all about, you know, all we know is Harriet Tubman and Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. Like, that's not history, like what Ryan was saying. The history goes deeper than that. And so the Black, I can speak for me now. Me and the Black people I rock with at work, we make it our purpose to teach those youth in Black history, outside of Black history, like the beauty of it, and not just, you know, slavery, but what we're able to achieve. You get me? And so even though it's used as a publicity thing, we have to go beyond that. And so when I'm teaching my lessons, I got free course really on what I teach. So I teach the youths from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, everything black. From when I first got there, started with when they see us. You get me? Yeah. But we started from the top. We started from the end backwards. So how they overcame and what they achieved, and build it all the way back to where they began. You get me?
That series is a lot.
Mad.
Yeah, I guess to go back to James's question, I think it's
about education.
Because
deeper than education. The whole system has to change because it was set up to continuously keep us oppressed and at the bottom of the pile.
Hence why it seems as though black people have this crab mentality, because when we're seen to gather together and work together, you get me, there's this negative something hit us straight away. Oh, look at that gang. Oh, look at them. Oh, and then even when we hit it all the way back, if you were seen in a group trying to better yourself, you were killed, you were beat, you were enslaved, your children were taken away from you, all that madness. And so of course that's still instilled in us.
Look at Black Wall Street, like in Tulsa. I don't know. I know you watch Lovecraft Country, James, but I don't know if anybody else here
only seen 2 episodes so far.
Lovecraft Country.
Nah, I ain't seen that stuff.
Listen.
Hi guys, it's Keanu again. You're listening to the ReEducation podcast.